Fox Sports.
We are the Fox. We are the Lions.
13 is the lucky number for the Indians. First against the Tigers on Wednesday afternoon. Then again last night as Carlos Santana became the latest late-inning hero. The Tribe is starting to come together as a team, and tonight they have to stay in that tough, grind-it-out mentality, though they'll have to do it without Asdrubal Cabrera. TJ House makes his first big league start next on Sports Time Ohio. From Oriole Park at Camden Yards in Baltimore, Maryland, it's Cleveland Indians baseball. Another gorgeous evening here in the Charm City as the Indians try to make it two in a row against the Baltimore Orioles. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Tribe equaled their season-best winning streak by winning their fourth straight overall last night, taking the season series opener here against Baltimore. And Rick, they did it in dramatic fashion. Once again, they get a late home run. The Indians have hit 9 home runs that have tied the ball game this year, and that is the most in the majors.
Well, this guy's been swinging the bat great all year. Chisenhall, he ties the game to a reliever who hadn't given up a run in his last 10 outings. Then Santana steps up big with the bases loaded. A 2-run double. They win it in the 13th inning. The second time they've done that. 1935 was the last time they've done it in back-to-back 13-inning games. But you know, it's something you don't want to do on a consistent basis. These guys got to be exhausted. Sooner or later, it's got to catch up to them.
Well, they need a good pitching performance tonight because the bullpen has also been worn out from all the extra inning affairs. And TJ House is going to get the start tonight for the Tribe. He's a left-hander. He's made one appearance out of the bullpen so far this year, but he's going to go out there and try to log some innings.
Well, his first major league start will come tonight. This is a tough ball club to pitch against. Adam Jones, a guy that likes to hit left-handers. Any length he could give Tito and that bullpen would be certainly appreciated. Hopefully he can go out there, pitch to contact. He made his debut against Oakland on Saturday. He'll be matched up against Bud Norris, who this year has had absolutely no success against the Central Division. Hopefully, I'm hoping the Indians can go out and get about 6 runs for him early.
That'd be nice as the Indians try to keep the mojo rolling here on the road in Baltimore. The Indians and the Orioles locking horns here tonight. The Tribe will be without Nick Swisher. They'll be without Asdrubal Cabrera. They're both really banged up and out of the starting lineup. But hopefully, TJ House can pitch the Tribe to another win. The play-by-play is next. your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Panini's, get overstuffed at Panini's Bar and Grill. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. Gorgeous night here in Baltimore as the Indians and the Orioles continue this 4-game series tonight here at Oriole Park. Terry Francona, Michael Brantley, they're ready to go as the Indians look to extend their winning streak to a season-best 5 in a row. Tribe starting lineup brought to you by Progressive. Michael Bourne leading it off. Then Mike Aviles moves into the 2-hole. Michael Brantley batting 3rd. Lonnie Chisenhall cleanup. David Murphy 5th. Carlos Santana batting 6th. Jason Giambi will DH and bat 7th. And Yan Gomes catching and batting 8th. And Justin Sellers will start at shortstop at 9th.
Tonight's GMC starting pitcher is going to be Bud Norris, who is 29 years old, 6 foot, 220 pounds. And Bud Norris this year, 2-4 with a 3.58. We did show you he's 0-3 against the American League Central. He pitched a great game against Kansas City in his last start. He went 7 1/3, 4 hits, 1 run. His team didn't score for him. It was a 1-0 loss for the Orioles and Norris. But we'll see what he has to offer to the Indians. He's beaten them once last year. That was in September. Let's check out the key Orioles defense. It'll be Cruz in left, Jones in center, Markakis in right, Flaherty at 3rd, Hardy at short, Schopp at 2nd, Davis is at 1st, and Joseph is behind the plate.
Marty Foster will call the balls and strikes tonight. Rob Drake at 1st, Alan Porter down at 2nd, and the crew chief Joe West is at 3rd. Bud Norris will make the start tonight for the Birds. Buck Showalter celebrating his 58th birthday tonight in the dugout.
Right. Happy birthday, Buck.
He's done a nice job of turning the Orioles around. Even though they've struggled, losing 8 of their last 11, they're still right there, only a game and a half off the pace in the tightly contested AL East. Wow.
Where are we at, Mardi Gras?
Michael Bourne leading off for the Tribe. He was 3 for 6 last night with a run scored. Bud Norris misses inside for ball 1. 73 degrees, our game time temperature here tonight.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
As perfect a day as you could hope for. 2-0 the count. In for a strike. Bud Norris, he's always been a very good pitcher. Part of his problem is the guys that bat when he pitches, they don't like him. In his 38 starts for both Baltimore and Houston since the beginning of 2013, he has received 2 or fewer runs of support while he was in the game in 20 of those 38 games.
That's either pitching on the wrong day or it's just bad luck. You know, sometimes it's not how you pitch, it's when you pitch.
3-1, bullseye, a strike called and a full count. Bourne rips it foul past Sandy Alomar. All that work on the bike for Sandy paying off. He's still limber down there.
Yeah.
Able to move out of the way quickly. Still only getting 3 runs a ball game. I mean, he's got a 3.58 ERA, but only 2-4 record to show for it. He walks Bourne to start the ball game. Keys to the game brought to you by Akron Children's Hospital. For the Indians, grinding out some runs. An opportunity for TJ House. Support the rook in the field. Is that a chest turn?
Yeah.
And how about playing 9? How about we throw that one in there too? Win in 9.
Yep. I like it, but it always seems like the Indians seem to hit the baseball when they come into this ballpark. It has in the past. So 6 runs I like to see in this yard.
Mike Aviles takes a strike. He went 1 for 6 last night. Had a key RBI hit in the ball game. T.J. House sitting behind Trevor Bauer there on the Tribe bench.
You look at some parts of that game last night and you're thinking to yourself, man, how did the Tribe win that game? But they're getting some timely hits, where earlier in the year they were not. A couple of key hits here or there, but they go a long way. And they're getting some 2-out base hits now with runners in scoring position. That means a lot.
And you know what, Rick? Short memory. I mean, they made some mistakes, but it didn't seem to affect them. They didn't carry it around with them.
Didn't get them down.
Swing and a miss by Aviles. And the count is 1-2. Definitely a looser bunch. They're starting to find their confidence. Their identity, I think, is starting to come together. 1-2 pitch. Aviles chased one. He strikes out, 1 away. Our sounds of the game brought to you by Hear Right Audiology. And here's Justin Masterson talking about the Tribe gelling.
We were 4 or 5 so games below 500 into July last year, so it's not like we're that far out of character. Now maybe it hasn't been as pretty as it was last year. There's been maybe a few more mistakes that we've made, but I think because of what we've done, we understand that, hey, shoot, we've been hurting ourselves, so that's kind of understandable where we're at, and yet we're not that much different as far as standings as we were last year. So I think that encourages everybody, and then you have these games, and I think that just uplifts everyone that much more.
Well, the Indians weren't quite as deep into the season when they were under 500 as Justin thought they were. It was June 17th. They were a game below 500 last year. That was as deep into the season as they were under 500 last year. But his point is that it wasn't all rosy last year. They had their ups and downs, and they learned from it.
Yeah, they were team streak. They were team streak last year. Is what happens. And, in this last week, they've really built a lot of character back up, and they had to win some hard-fought games. And I'll tell you, that builds character in that dugout. And that's what you call in the trenches with those boys. And now there's a lot more respect in there, and they've got a lot more confidence in themselves.
The 0-1 to Brantley, fouled right back. Terry Francona says, quote, "We're becoming the team that we want to be, and that doesn't mean that we're going to win every game. We're going to still make mistakes, but there's not a better feeling as a staff, manager, coaches, than when you love your team." And they're starting to get that feeling now, which is very good and points to better days to come still. 1-on-1 out here in the first. Brantley down on the count, 0-2. Bud Norris walked Michael Bourne after a pretty good battle, but struck out Aviles. And Brantley had a good pitch right there and ripped it back foul. Lonnie Chisenhall waiting on deck. Brantley last night went 2 for 6. He tripled and scored twice. He's now hit in 8 consecutive games. Bourne takes off, pitch up and away, and the throw down. Safe. Bourne just simply outran it because it was a great pitch to throw on for Caleb Joseph. It was up and away. He made a good throw, and it was a close play, but Michael, I think, just outran it.
That's why you go in feet first straight. I mean, as hard as you can, right to the bag. You don't mess around. He gets that foot right on the bag. I mean, that is about as close as you can get. See that? You go in directly to the base, feet first. He is called safe. Number 4 for Bourne.
1-2 count for Brantley. Pulls it foul. Look out into the Oriole dugout. Michael has picked up a lot of clutch hits this year. 15 out of 49 with a runner in scoring position.
Well, anytime there's been something happening, he's been a part of it. With 2 outs, he gets it rolling. He's been the one steady customer that has been in that lineup every day between him and Murphy.
A little bit low, and it's 2-2. Murphy had his 7-game hitting streak stopped last night. Still contributed an RBI to the cause. Brantley trying to get the board, Indians on the board first here tonight. Out of play to the left.
It's a tough out, isn't he? He just keeps battling. Pitchers have to work to get him out. And this is about as straight up as you'll see maybe Baltimore play any player. Michael Brantley, because he does use the whole field.
Up and in a full count.
Well, he likes to throw that high fastball. That's where he will get some strikeouts. He was able to locate one to Aviles, and it's just above the belt. It's about letter high where it looks good, and he tries to get hitters to chase it when they get 2 strikes.
This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat right here. And he got him down and in. Back-to-back strikeouts, 2 down in the inning.
Good slider. Look at it on our Nissan pitch tracker. Back foot slider. That thing goes in there and it just keeps bearing in. It's actually a ball, but you don't pick up the spin on that pitch. It looks like a fastball and there's late break to it. That's what I consider a tight slider, Matt, right there.
Yeah.
You know those guys that throw that big sweeping, they call it a slider, it looks like a curveball. That to me is a true slider.
Stays on the same plane and
then all of a sudden, right at the last minute, it breaks down. Good depth to it.
Monty Chisenhall pulling and foul.
Look at the rotation. It's really tight spin, and you're supposed to see a little red dot with that slider, but that's super slow-mo. What's that, 400 things per second?
Things?
Yeah, frames.
All those frames.
Those things. You know, those things. Just one thing here.
All right, Curly. Lonnie Chisenhall's been hitting things all over the ballpark lately. Fouls it out of place. Hitting 5 straight games, going 8 for 16. And during his tear, he's hit his first 2 home runs of the year. So that could be a scary proposition for opposing pitchers. He's starting to find a power stroke now to go along with.
Well, he knew it would come if he just put good at bats out there, and he's been using the whole field. He picked on a slider last night. He had the barrel of the bat out in front, and O'Day, who hadn't given up a run in his last 10 outings, made a mistake, and Chisenhall made him pay. It was in a pinch hit effort, his 3rd pinch hit. And Chisenhall, looking at him in the month of May.
Even better than Miguel Cabrera. His teammate Michael Brantley. Look at it, all in the Central Division. Cleveland and Detroit owns it. Tigers have cooled off, though. They've lost 4 straight now, coming into play tonight. 1-2 pitch. Lonnie lifts it foul.
Nope.
Cruz. No, it comes back into fair territory. And the inning is over. So the Indians strand a runner in scoring position. The Orioles are coming to bat when we come back. No score, bottom of the first inning. Let's take a look at Buck Showalter starting lineup for Baltimore. Brought to you by Toyota. Nick Markakis leading it off. Jonathan Scope in the 2-hole, followed by Adam Jones. Then it's Chris Davis, Nelson Cruz, and J.J. Hardy. Delman Young starts in the DH spot. Batting 7th, then it's Ryan Flaherty and Caleb Joseph.
GMC starting pitcher is T.J. House. He made 7 starts down in Columbus, 1-2, a nice 2.40 ERA. His first major league start tonight. His debut was Saturday against the Oakland A's, where he pitched an inning.
And his first pitch is in there for a strike. Markakis broke his back, and it's a fair ball. Inside the bag at third. Brantley over to grab it. And he'll hold Markakis to a leadoff single. He's going to bring up Jonathan Scope.
You talk about staying inside there at ball middle. You can see where Gomes had to go reach back, and he just took the inside out approach. Hit it right down the third baseline. Michael hustles over, and you can see the respect he's getting now from left field because they round first base and hold up now.
Jonathan Scope is in the lineup tonight because Manny Machado is nursing a groin injury. Scope in at second base, and they moved Ryan Flaherty over to third. It's a right groin that he injured last night. And Machado is saying hopefully in the next couple of days it will get better and I can get back out there. Buck Showalter is being very cautious. He's only 21 years old, Machado, and he's just happy that he doesn't have to go on the disabled list.
Yeah, you're thinking long term here. He started out on the DL. Err on the side of caution.
And Buck said it wasn't a situation where he came to me during the game and said, hey, man, I'm really hurting. He said it was more of a, I'm watching it, I see the body language, and I say, you need to get him out of there before he injures himself and then has to go on the DL. That's one of those little things that people don't realize managers have to do. Players don't always just come out and tell you, hey, I'm injured, I need to come out of the game. You've got to
it's the other way around.
Yeah, because players don't want to come out of the game, and they'll try to hide the small. Now, if it's a major injury, that's
you can't
different.
Help it. Yeah, I mean, they'll go to their trainers and they'll try and get their work done and play through a lot of it. You're right. A lot of it will be masked.
T.J. House deals downstairs, full count. Buck Showalter said after the ball game, he said he was going to come and say something to me about it in the 9th inning. He said, you kind of beat me to the punch. You read my mind. And he said, no, I read your body language. I could tell you were hurting. So House with a lob to first. As Markakis back.
It's amazing if you go and watch a ball game. There's a lot you can tell from body language out on the field.
3-2 delivery. Foul back. It's something that scouts are always very cognizant of when they're, whether it's scouting a future series or a guy you might look at in free agency. How does a guy carry himself when things are going well? And when things are falling all apart, what does he do?
Right. Whether you're a pitcher and other opposing hitters will watch a pitcher out on the mound, and you can see when he's upset, shrugs his shoulders or his head drops.
Double play ball to short, perhaps. Sellers goes to Aviles on to first. They turn 2. So Justin Sellers filling in for his Drupal Cabrera tonight, and Mike Aviles, who's been filling in for Jason Kipnis, the backup dynamic duo, turns 2.
Check out the Indians' key at defense tonight. Brantley, Bourne, and Murphy in the outfield. Chisenhall at third, Sellers at short, Aviles at second. Santana gets a start at first with Gomes behind the plate.
The batter is Adam Jones.
Indians turned 3 double plays last night. Or was it 4?
Well, they were sparkling defensively early in the game.
3 and 4.
They had some problems later on. Jones drives one to right field. That's going to short hop the fence. He's headed for second base. And he's in safely with a 2-out double. Second hit of the inning for Baltimore.
Well, this guy is just unbelievable when it comes to hitting left-handed pitchers. He's got a .452 average.
Let's go downstairs and check in with Katie Witham right now. She has more on TJ House.
Matt, it's been 8 days since TJ House's last start down at AAA. As you guys mentioned, since then we've seen him in 1 inning of relief out of the bullpen. And Mickey Callaway said he's thrown 2 sides. He is fresh, but as the Indian staff told him, his goal tonight is to pick up his team, go deep into this game no matter what happens. Now, a side note, guys, you'll see Josh Tomlin out in the bullpen tonight. It is his side session, and he could be used if absolutely needed.
All right, thanks, Katie. Something we'll keep an eye on as Chris Davis steps in and takes a strike. Davis went 0 for 5 last night.
This is pretty much an important day, or I would say for the pitching staff, if you can get some guys some rest.
Davis waves at it. It's 0-2.
You have 5 more days after today before they get a day off on Thursday after the Chicago series. And Davis just goes ahead and swings at a pitch that's way off the plate.
So a ball and 2 strikes for Davis. Scott Atchison on the right. Got the save last night. Brian Shaw he got the day off yesterday after pitching in, 4 straight days? 3 straight days? Struck him out looking. TJ House with a terrific job here in the first inning. Getting one of the dangerous hitters in baseball to go down on a called 3rd strike. And we're scoreless after 1. Northeast Ohio Honda dealers. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the Northeast Ohio Ford dealers. No score as we go to the second inning here in Baltimore. David Murphy, Carlos Santana, and Jason Giambi due up for the Tribe. Pitch in there for a strike. Norris gave up 5 runs in 5 innings his first time out this year. in Detroit against the Tigers. Since that start, his ERA is under 3. So this guy's no slouch. Detroit, however, they've got his number because they've hung 2 losses on Norris already this year. Up and away. And the last time he faced Detroit, things got a little testy. He pitched into the 8th inning. He was down 2-1, and he gave up a 2-out, 2-run homer to Ian Kinsler. And then the fireworks began as Murphy takes a strike at the knees. He hit Torrey Hunter with the very next pitch. And Norris was ejected from the game because the umpire said, well, I just hit a home run.
Well, obviously he felt like he was throwing at him intentionally.
He threw a fastball and hit him in the ribs with the very next pitch, so he was ejected. Then on his way to the dugout, he said something to Torrey Hunter, and that sparked the benches coming out. And
that'll usually do it.
Yep. 2-2 chopper. Hardy throws it, and he got him by a step. Great clip of the game from last night. Carlos Santana delivering for the Tribe. A tie-breaking 2-run double. As the Indians would go on to beat the Orioles by a final score of 8-7. Here's the best part of Norris. After he hit Torrey Hunter, he was ejected from the game, so he's headed to the dugout. He says something to Torrey Hunter, and after the game, Hunter said, I don't know what he said. I'm too old for that. You know, he's picking on the old guy. Really? I probably have more hits than he has days in his life. I thought that was a pretty creative line. I probably have more hits than he has days in his life.
Well, we remember when Torrey was with Minnesota. He grew up playing in this division and had a few situations where the Indians hit him a couple of times.
He's taken more than his fair share of fastballs to the ribs, let's put it that way. Third strikeout for Bud Norris, and he's retired 5 in a row after he walked Michael Bourne to start the game.
And that right there was a challenge heater. He threw the fastball right by Santana. Normally that's something you can't do.
Jason Giambi getting the start tonight in the DH spot. Fouls it back. Mentioned at the top of the telecast tonight that the Indians are without both Asdrubal Cabrera and Nick Swisher tonight. They're banged up. Katie Witham will have an update on those two players. Their physical condition right now, they're listed as day-to-day, and hopefully it's nothing more than that. You just
some of the innings are getting to, you get to them, some dings, some bruises. You have to, rest it.
With the shift on, Scope comes in from the outfield to make the play, and the Indians go 1-2-3. We'll head to the bottom of the second in Baltimore, no score.
Follow every Indians game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, scores, stats, audio, free MLB TV game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Indians.com today.
Nelson Cruz going to lead off the bottom of the second for Baltimore. 14 home runs for Cruz, 42 runs batted in. It's hit a long way. Murphy's looking, and it's gone. Number 15 for Cruz, and Baltimore has the 1-0 lead.
Well, he's got outstanding power. Number 15. He just shoots it to right center field. Made it look easy. They start him off with a fastball, and it's right there, man. You got to keep it out of the middle part of the plate when you're facing this guy. Adam Jones is the same way. They love to hit left-handers, man. You better keep it on the edges.
J.J. Hardy takes a look down low, 2-0.
There's the pitch to Cruz. Extension.
In there for a strike, 2-1. Good change of pace. Hardy out front, got a piece of it. 2-2.
What did he do? Something cut Gomes? Either that or he's got something in his eye.
James Quinlan's going to take a look.
Yeah, he's got something in his eye. Yeah, that must have. Something came off the end of that bat. I don't know if it was a piece of dirt or whatever off the ball. Something. And that swing, and it went right into his left eye.
He appears to be ready to go. We'll see. 2-2. And it's low, a full count. Hardy aboard. Injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. Manny Machado, as we've already discussed, day to day on the 15-day DL. Matt Wieters a key bat for their lineup. Tommy Hunter. Here's Delman Young. Swing and a miss. Bounce to third. Chisenhall goes to second. There's one. Aviles tries to turn the double play, but not in time. So they get the lead runner for 1 out. And Young aboard here in the second. Let's go downstairs once again to Katie.
Matt, as Dribble Cabrera's MRI on his knee this morning came back negative, but as you can imagine, that left knee still very sore from where he got hit. Terry Francona also mentioned a toe on his right foot has also been bothering him a little bit. And as far as Nick Swisher goes, who's also listed as day-by-day, it's his right knee that's been bothering him. Francona mentioned he hopes both will be available for the lineup tomorrow.
Yeah, if you remember, Cabrera fouled one off his toe, and that knee, he got drilled with it. He could use just as many innings as they've been playing. Just a day off his feet and legs. And Swisher, too. And who was it? Cespedes, and he had a collision over the weekend.
Ryan Flaherty 2 for 5 last night. His 2 hits, a double, and a monster 3-run homer. Indians were able to overcome that and win the game in extra innings. T.J. House delivers and a swing and a miss. This was the pitch, and he got hit on the knee by Phil Koch, and that was a fastball at full velocity. And
right on the knee. That was a 93, 94 mile an hour fastball off your kneecap.
He played most of the game last night, but came out.
I could tell it was still bothering.
Yeah.
I think on that one play when he made the error, he couldn't really bend down. There was a couple of plays that he tried to turn a double play. He had to really get low with that knee, and it wasn't working. He tried to gut through it. He played most of the game.
Three balls and 2 strikes with 1 on 1 out here in the second inning. Out stays 3-2. Goes to second, get 1, and there are 2 down in the inning.
It's all right. Just make sure you give a good feed. You're not going to get the double play.
And we'll bring up Caleb Joseph, the number 9 hitter, Baltimore's catcher. Joseph 0 for his last 7 at the plate. It's just 1 out of 16 so far on the year. Broke his back. Sellers will field it, flip it, and the inning is over. Baltimore gets on the board first tonight. Nelson Cruz with his 15th home run of the year as Baltimore in front 1-0. Remember, you can tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown during one of our telecasts this year. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Third inning, Baltimore with a 1-0 lead. Yan Gomes to lead off for the Tribe. Gomes has hit in 4 straight games, going 7 for his last 17 at the plate. Norris has done a nice job of getting deep into the ball game, and that's what Baltimore's looking for here tonight. He's pitched into the 8th inning in each of his last 2 starts.
Yep.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, it's his second start against the Indians. He beat them last year, September 2nd. 8 strikeouts over 7 innings. 1 run on 4 hits.
Upstairs with it, and it's 2-2.
See, though, that's the pitch he wants you to swing at. He gets you to 2 strikes. He wants you to chase that fastball because it's got enough on it he can get it by you. When I think about it, I look down at September 2nd. Remember, they came in and both teams were fighting for the wild card. That was only one of 6 losses in the month of September that the Indians had.
The 2-2. Gomes got a piece of that to stay alive. Number 9 hitter Justin Sellers waiting on deck. Here's the 2-2 now to Gomes. Hit to right field. Markakis barely has to move at all. 1 down here in the 3rd. Timeout for a Mazda game break. We'll go back to the studios. Here's Al Pulaski. All right, thanks, Al. Here is Justin Sellers. He drives one in the air to left center field. Long run for Jones, but he gets to it. And we've got 2 down.
Well, the Red Sox will be coming to town in June, early June, and on June 3rd, if you come out to the ballpark, you'll receive a Michael Bourne bobblehead. 10,000 fans will receive the giveaway. It features Bourne making a diving catch in center field. Visit Indians.com for your tickets.
And here is Bourne, who walked and stole a base in the 1st. He's the only Indian to reach, though, as Bud Norris is in a pretty good groove to start the game. A little bit low.
Shift they use for Michael Bourne now.
Well, they wait till 2 strikes. I've noticed a couple of times on different hitters.
Yeah. I'm thinking, what are they going to throw him that make him want to pull that ball? Change up away?
Lines that one over the shift and into center field. Jones goes a long way to track it down, but he will hold Bourne to a 2-out single.
Throws him a fastball down, and Bourne lines it right over the head of Hardy.
Well, look where he wanted it though, and look where it went. He was setting up away, came back.
Anytime you see those catchers reach back, hitters usually hit the ball pretty hard somewhere.
Mike Avila struck out his first time up. Rounded right at the shortstop, Hardy. Goes the short way for the inning-ending force, and we'll go to the bottom of the third. Baltimore 1, Cleveland nothing. Well, as you enjoy a cold one, stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Beautiful evening here at Oriole Park, Camden Yards. It looks like awfully close to a full house.
Well, I'll tell you, it was crazy down here this afternoon. It took us, what, 45 minutes to get here on a bus, and it's about a 4-mile journey.
You can walk it in about 25 minutes.
Right.
It was gridlock in downtown Baltimore. They've got a big event going on across the way here at the Ravens football stadium tomorrow. The NCAA lacrosse national championship.
Yeah, that's.
Plus, it's Memorial Day weekend. Just a lot of folks spending the holiday downtown. Nick Markakis, a base hit, his first time up. TJ House on the short end of a 1-0 score right now.
Look at that.
He just flips it over there again.
Second straight time he's done that. And he just serves it out to left field. He's 2 for 2. See, when he can go and do this on that little breaking ball, he just kept his hands back, and then serves it. Yeah, if he can hit that pitch, you got to pitch him inside and get him off the plate a little bit, because that was a breaking ball down and away. It wasn't even a strike.
Now Jonathan Scope backed into a double play his first time up, and takes the ball in the dirt.
They were 3 for 8 the first time through the lineup. They had a single, a double, and then the solo home run by Cruz.
Fouled away.
So they have had their leadoff man aboard every inning so far in the first 3.
Backs him away. 2 balls and a strike. Popped up back output. House with a 2-2. In the air, right center. Murphy into again. One away. Our stat of the game brought to you by Buick. How about the Indians bullpen in the last 2 games? They've logged 18 1/3 innings. They've thrown 321 pitches.
How about that? Isn't that something? In the last 2 games, and they've done a great job, man. They have survived. They've battled. They've been really good all year.
Everybody's been a part of it down there in that
Well,
pen.
they have had to be.
They've even gone to the starting pitching ranks with Josh Tomlin, who pitched out of the bullpen on Wednesday in Cleveland, and he's also on call tonight if needed. Swing and a miss by Adam Jones.
Yeah, they've had to make moves to bring up some fresh arms, and it's part of the season that you don't have to. You certainly don't want to go through, but they did, and they've weathered the storm so far.
That was Josh Tomlin in the bullpen. As I mentioned, he's in the rotation, but just in case, he's out there tonight. Jones chased one down and in. It's 0-2. Rick, a lot of times, if a guy's going to help you out of the bullpen, you want it to be on the day he's normally going to throw his side session. So he's going to throw at some point anyway.
Later in the game, yes.
So if you need him to come in, this is a good time to utilize him.
Although it'll be a little more than work, just throwing on the side. This will be game situation, so it'll be a little more strenuous.
Hopefully that's not needed, but just in case, he's out there. Hit him on an 0-2 pitch. And that could lead to trouble because now you got Chris Davis coming up.
Well, I understand what he's doing. He wants to go inside, and you have to pitch Jones in there. He doubled off him last time. And if you miss, you want to miss in off the plate. And he just gets it in there a little too far, and he takes it on the back of the leg. He didn't try to go in there. He worked hard. He had him ahead in the count. He was 0-2. Yeah, just unfortunate there.
Now here is Chris Davis. Struck out his first time up. You could forgive him, though, if his attention may be just a tad divided right now. His wife is expecting their first child, and if she doesn't deliver before Sunday, they're planning on inducing labor Sunday morning. So he's got to miss probably at least one game of this series, if not more, depending. That's a fair ball down to the right field corner. Marquez going to score. Jones coming around third. He'll be waved home, too. The throw to the plate is not in time. Davis delivers a 2-run double, and the Orioles have a 3-0 lead.
Well, he was able to get him to swing at the breaking ball, but there's a fastball. He tries to sneak inside, and he doesn't have enough on it to get it in there, and he keeps it fair down the line and into that corner. Look at Jones. He is rounded third with a head of steam heading for the dish, and he gets in there safely. It's 3-0 now, and you got Cruz up there.
Nelson Cruz homered off House his last time up. Now that's where things can just unravel on you in a hurry, though. Take a look back at the home run that Cruz hit in the second inning. He's got Jones down in the count, 2 strikes, trying to put him away, ends up hitting him, and the tone of the inning changed just like that with one poor pitch.
Yeah. Well, I don't disagree here. Letting this guy go to first base. We still have the double play in order.
J.J. Hardy, who walked his first time up.
Well, this is a good offense, and you know you have to make quality pitches to get through it. And I mean, you know, you're going to go deep in the count because you don't want to make mistakes on the plate. Yeah, they're 2 for 3 the second time through the lineup now because he hit Jones with the 0-2 pitch and the intentional walk here.
Well, J.J. Hardy is the batter. Already down 3. House has got to tighten it up in a hurry because the Indians only have 1 hit so far tonight against Bud Norris. He looks very sharp through the first 3 innings. Low in the count 1-1. Hardy, a double play ball, hit the runner.
I'll be down.
So we'll get an out.
That's a bad break.
It was a tough break as Chris Davis got nailed going from second to third.
That's a bad break. He would have been out of the inning because it was right at Sellers.
The out will be credited to Justin Sellers, the shortstop.
Hardy gets a base hit there, doesn't he? Gets a base hit, and you give the put out to Sellers. He's the closest fielder to that play.
On one regard, you could say it's a break for Baltimore because that's an inning-ending double play.
It is a break for Baltimore, right? It's a bad break for T.J. House.
Delman Young bounced into a fielder's choice to the third baseman his first time up. This is popped in the air, and this will be Sellers calling for it. Makes the grab near the seats to end the inning. Baltimore gets 2 more. And after 3, the Birds lead it 3-0.
Guarantee the most popular 2014 Indians promotional items with the new promo pass. By purchasing a promo pass ticket, fans will receive promo items no matter what time they arrive at the ballpark. Visit Indians.com for the details.
Michael Brantley, Lonnie Chisenhall, David Murphy due for the drive here in the fourth. The Indians have just one hit so far tonight. Michael Bourne singled in the third with 2 outs. He also walked to lead off the game. He's the only Indians player to reach so far against Bud Norris. First pitch strike in there. Brantley is 6th in the American League and runs batted in now with 37. He and teammate David Murphy both above the 30 RBI mark. Murphy with 31. Between first and second, and a base hit for Michael. Indians' second hit of the night. And so second time through the order. Now the Indians are 2 for 3 against Bud Norris.
Scope was going to dive after that ball, and it hits the lip and took off.
Brantley and Murphy with 30 RBIs each for the Indians. You got Abreu and Ramirez at that mark with the White Sox. Trout and Pujols from the Angels. Moss, Donaldson of the A's. Encarnacion and Batista from Toronto.
See, he's going over to try and dive. If it stays down, he may have that ball. Now, whether he throws him out, I don't know, but it hits the grass and it took off. Took a bad hop up over the glove.
Here's Lonnie Chisenhall as the Indians try to get something going now here in the fourth. Up and away. The ball and a strike. Chisenhall now down to the count of 1-2. Chisenhall fouled that one back first. He got the catch, and this time he gets the umpire.
Norris has a nice tight slider in there to left-handers. No one didn't have he got a piece of it. He fouled off the top part of the baseball. That one didn't have the depth to go down, but it still breaks in late.
Out of play. Plugs the gap here, right center field. That'll go to the wall. Brantley on his way to third. Mike Sarbaugh's going to wave him home. And the throw to the plate, nowhere near in time. Brantley scoring all the way from first, and Lonnie Chisenhall gets the Indians on the board with a ringing double up the right center field alley. His 12th two-bagger of the year, his 8th run batted in, and it's a 3-1 Baltimore lead now.
Well, that's a great timing for a hit. This is going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it because he plugs the gap after Brantley got a base hit. He really went down and hit a great pitch. Look at that ball. He picked it up off the ground and plugged the gap. And I'll tell you what, he has had great plate coverage this year. So he will score easily. The Indians are on the board. He cuts the lead to 3-1.
Now David Murphy, who grounded out his first time up. Still the American League's best hitter with runners in scoring position, batting .421. Trying to shoot one through the middle of the infield. Hardy spins, throws. Oh, man, he got him. What a play by Hardy. Boy, David Murphy nearly beat it out for an infield single, but Hardy went a long way range-wise to scoop it and then spun around and made a perfect throw.
He's got him twice today. And I'll tell you what, Hardy, a Gold Glove shortstop, man. Two-time award winner. He is a very underrated defensive player. Because he plays here in Baltimore, I'll tell you what, he's as good as they come right there at short. Not flashy, but he makes every play.
Scope's not going to make the play. If he gets it, he's going away from the play. He's got to plant and throw back.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Murphy beats that one out. So that was, and Hardy got Murphy the first time, too.
Infield in now as Carlos Santana can get the Indians within a run if he can find a way to get Chisenhall home from third. Santana struck out his first time up. Down and in for ball one. Good block that time by Joseph. That looked like it might have been headed to the backstop.
Well, you got to be careful here on balls that could be a wild pitch. He did a nice job and really kicked back into him. But you see that brick wall behind the catcher? If that ball gets by and there is a wild pitch, it can hit that wall and come back. So you got to be careful if you're on third base.
Down low. 2-0. Santana had the game-winning hit last night for the Indians, and Terry Francona said it was kind of fitting that he got a big hit because he hit the ball hard a couple of times and made outs. He's been swinging better lately. He's had some tough luck. Instead of hanging his head, though, he went and got us a game-winning hit. (3-0). Now, Rick, let me ask you, 3-0 in this situation. You're down 2, but it's early in the game.
Oh, give it to him. Let him go.
If it's there, drive the run home.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get that run in. You got the infield in. Look for your fastball and go. This could be the best pitch. But you see, there you don't swing because it wasn't a fastball. He's trying to cheat on a fastball, but he had a terrible swing at a slider. So why even bother? You have to zone in. I mean, mentally, just have a target mat this big. I'm talking about 6 inches.
Grapefruit size.
Yeah, grapefruit size. Look for that zone that you can drive it, and that was not good for him there.
Takes the walk on the pitch outside, ball 4. So now the tying run is aboard, and with one out, Jason Giambi will be the batter. The problem now is that, yeah, it's great Santana draws the walk there, but now a double play set up with a guy who doesn't run well in Giambi.
Well, Giambi's going to be hitting it in the air. He's going to try. He'll have that uppercut swing to try and at least hit a sac fly. So he's looking for something that he can elevate, but in turn, he may either get a changeup from Norris or that slider that he's going to try and get him to roll over to second base. Because normally they play the shift with Giambi. They did the first time. Now they're at double play depth, and Hardy's on the left side.
Paints the outside corner with a perfect pitch at 94 miles an hour for strike one. Giambi sends a high drive to left field. Cruz on the move. He's on the track. He's at the wall. It's gone to Souvenir City. Jason Giambi with a 3-run homer. And it's a 4-run fourth inning for the Tribe as they come back to take the lead. Jason Giambi's first home run of the season. And oh boy, is it a big one. Shades of last year, when every time they needed a home run, it seemed Giambi would deliver.
I'll tell you, nothing bigger than that right there. Everybody happy for him, his first, but he goes the other way. That little two-seamer running away. Look how strong he is. He shoots it down the left field line, and to get it out of here, you can see Cruz going back, and it's into that first row and ricochets up. The Indians take a lead.
439th career home run for Jason Giambi.
Watch the two-seamer running away. Boy, he stayed on that one. Look at that.
Extension, too.
Yeah.
Full extension.
Well, that had to feel good. His first homer and his first 3 ribbies of the season. Comes at the right time.
Boy, did it ever. And that's got to give T.J. House a huge sense of relief in that dugout.
Everybody in that dugout's thrilled right now.
Remember, the Indians had 1 hit through the first 3 innings. And Norris just seemed like he was in command. But Brantley got it started. Chisenhall with some thunder. The walk to Santana and the 3-run homer by Giambi. And just like that, the Indians flip the tables on Baltimore.
It's getting contagious now when you get that first hit. I think Chisenhall got it going. He went down and really hit a ball into the gap.
Jason Giambi, now the 3rd oldest player to hit a home run for the Indians.
Well, that makes you feel young. He doesn't feel old now.
Still loves the game, still loves to talk about the game. To the young players, to the clubbies, those of us in the media. I mean, he just really is enjoying this stage of his career. And as you pointed out, Rick, for a guy his age, he hasn't lost the bat speed. He still has that lightning quick reflex.
Still amazes me, at 43. He doesn't cheat on fastballs like a lot of the older guys do.
Don Gomes, that was a perfect pitch by Norris. Boy, did you see that? At the knees, outside corner. 4th strikeout for the Orioles right-hander. 2 down in the inning.
All right, you said at the knees on the corner. There it is, low laser. Yeah, that's perfect pitch. The best you could do is hope you can foul it off. If you don't swing, you hope he calls it a ball. But that was a great pitch by Norris. Strikeout number 4.
Swung on and missed by Sellers in the count 0-2.
I'm going to send along some get well wishes to Pauline Bochenek, who's hopefully she's going to be getting better soon here, resting at home comfortably, we hope. So Pauline, get well, please.
I'm sure Tommy Bo will take care of Mama.
Well, if he won't, Frank will.
Well, if he doesn't, Kenny will.
That's right. Frank's too busy making us peppers.
It's nap time for Frank. The 1-2. Sellers chops it foul. Sellers hit the ball hard his first time up, flied out to deep center field. lines this one into center field for a base hit.
Indians with 4 hits in the inning. Single, double, homer, single.
Rick, thinking back to spring training, that's something that jumped out at us about Justin Sellers. When he would swing the bat, he'd swing it with some authority. He had a lot of line drives.
Not a big guy at all.
No.
He plays the game. He's got a lot of energy. Plays the game well. Laid down a sacrifice bunt last night. Yeah.
Dave Wallace out to talk with Bud Norris while they chatted over. Let's go downstairs to Katie, who has some thoughts and observations on Justin Sellers.
Well, Matt, remember in spring training, Justin Sellers told us he spent some time with Mark McGwire in the offseason, helping him in the batting cages. He told me that he made him rethink his approach, shorten up his swing, had him now looking for the line drives as we just saw there, and that's allowed him to find consistency and put up quality at bats.
Mark McGwire and Justin Sellers, not a pair you would put together,
No.
but it shows you that, hitting, there's a universal language that all hitters speak.
One guy's a giant, the other guy's a midget. I mean, when you think about it, 2 different hitters.
He's not quite Freddie Patek.
No. Well, Freddie Patek, yeah. What was he, 5'4"?
Maybe, yeah, right. Michael Bourne walked, stole a base in the first. He singled in the third. Boy, it's been a long inning for Bud Norris, who is just clipping right along through the first 3 innings. He's already up to, this will be the 80th pitch of the night. Runner goes. Sellers is out at second. Good throw by Caleb Joseph to end the inning. But the Indians roar back. Old Man River just keeps rolling along. The Indians lead it 4-3. Four-3, the Indians now have the lead as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. And so TJ House will go to work with a 1-run lead. He'll be facing the 8, 9, and leadoff hitters. Right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, Lake County's must-see bobblehead giveaway. Sam Amico on which draft prospect the Cavs have concerns about. And how Charles Barkley's comments triggered controversial remarks from a former NFL player. It's all on FoxSportsOhio.com. One down here in the bottom of the 4th as Caleb Joseph comes up. That's hit a long way. Deep center. Bourne back. And makes the catch about a stride in front of the warning track. And Caleb Joseph is out number 2. That was hit a long way to straightaway center.
Well, use the big part of the field here. That's what you want to try to do. You can see Bourne, he got a decent jump on the ball, and he'll track it down. Now here's a guy, I want to see how he goes at him this time, because Markakis has been able to slap the ball to left field the first 2 times up.
Good pitch that time by House. Got in on him, absolutely.
Well, that's what he's doing. He's waiting for something. I think that first time when he went to try and bunt, he doesn't want the next pitch inside, because he figures a pitcher, I don't want to throw him in if he's going to bunt, because he served 2 out there the last time. He's looking for something out there. He's trying to set you up where he can take you out there again. Again, go inside. Even in off the plate. Look at that. You can't continue to do it. He'll do it all day long. I blame Gomes a little bit for that right there. Letting him to throw that breaking ball. Gomes has got to call something inside. That's the 3rd straight time he's done. He set him up all 3 times. I mean, let's look at every pitch. There's the first inside, and that wasn't in. That was middle. Then he gets that lower. That one tells you right there he's just looking to slap it the other way. Well, you see he was a little late on one inside pitch, but he goes back and does the same thing again. I blame the catcher on that
one. Jonathan Scope, the batter. Shoots one off the side of the mound, it looked like, and the field was
That's some English to it.
out. Yeah, looked like a billiard shot.
That's right.
4 complete from Baltimore, and the Indians lead it 4-3. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by the all-new Sunnyside Chevrolet in Elyria. Sunny will save you money. By Levin Furniture. And by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. We are going to the 5th inning. And the Indians have a 1-run advantage. They'll be sending the top of the order up here. Brantley, a perfect 2 for 2 on the night. A walk, a single. Stole a base back in the first. And that's not going to work out well. He bunted it, and it just stopped right in front of the plate. Time for a Mazda game break. Here's Al Pawlowski. All right, thanks, Al. Here's Mike Aviles. He's 0 for 2 tonight. A little bit low with that pitch, 1-1. Borderline, and Mike says, I didn't think it was a strike. I thought it was low, but the home plate umpire, Marty Foster, says, I thought it was a strike. I think it's low. Kind of tend to agree with Mike there, but.
Well, don't take it again. You got to try and foul it off.
And the pitch before got him on that one because he didn't want to swing at that, but he had to. Fifth strikeout for Bud Norris, and there are 2 down here in the 5th.
And he goes right with that same spot, except throws a slider where it's going to break at the end. And that's exactly where he started, and he couldn't hold up.
Brantley a swing and a miss. Nine-game hitting streak for Michael Brantley after that base hit in the 4th inning. Bouncing ball to Stoop, and the second baseman, throws him out. Indians go in order. We'll go to the last half of the 5th. It's now 4-3 Cleveland. 4-3, Tribe on top as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Part of the order due up for the Birds. It's going to be Adam Jones, Chris Davis, and Nelson Cruz. TJ House has allowed at least one hit in every inning so far here tonight. Jones doubled in the first, and then House had him down 2 strikes in the count in the third and hit him with a pitch. And that led to trouble as Jones would come around to score on a 2-run double by Chris Davis. Big curveball and a good one in for a strike. Aviles bobbles it, can't come up with it. Mike went for the diving stop, just couldn't quite get to it. And it'll be the second hit of the night for Adam Jones. He actually got to it before he had to dive for it, and the ball didn't stay in his glove.
Yeah, he got to it. He didn't have to dive for it, and it just didn't stick.
Hit a long way and gone. Chris Davis, home run number 7. He has 4 runs batted in tonight, and the Orioles go back in front now, 5-4. Bugaboo all season long for Indians pitchers had been the dreaded response runs. Indians have the lead.
Well, he left a flat breaking ball right there. And you can see he just works. It was mid-thigh, getting the barrel of the bat out front, and it goes a long way.
Nelson Cruz homered in the second. He was intentionally walked in the third. Broken bat. Sellers with a good throw to get him at first. 1 away. J.J. Hardy has walked and singled tonight. House, it's a fastball in there for strike 1. Comes right back at him. Quickly ahead 0-2. Count, and he just taps one off the mouth for an infield hit. That's a bad break.
Well, once it goes off the plate, he's going to get to it, but he couldn't stop his momentum to plant and throw. And even if he doesn't get there, it would have been a base hit anyway, because with Chisenhall coming in from third base, he wouldn't have been able to get Hardy at first.
First time tonight we get action in the Indians bullpen. And let's see, is that Mark Lowe?
I bet it is.
It is indeed. Mark Lowe, who just joined the club, made his first appearance as an Indian last night. He's up here in the 5th with Baltimore now leading it 5-4. They've out hit the Indians 10-5. Elman Young takes inside for ball one. He's 0 for 2 on the night. Chased one down low.
Young's usually a real aggressive hitter early in the count. Looks for that first fastball to get after.
Grounded towards second base. Sellers trying to turn two, and they do to get out of the inning. Double play ball ends the frame, but Chris Davis with a 2-run homer. He's driven in 4 for the Birds. They lead it by a run. Time now for our AT&T fan photo of the game. Remember, you can tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown during one of our telecasts. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Sixth inning, Indians now down a run. Lonnie Chisenhall, David Murphy, and Carlos Santana due up for Cleveland. Chisenhall's batting average would lead the American League right now, but he doesn't have enough at-bats to qualify. You need, so far for Chisenhall, he'd need 148. He started the night at just around 100, 101 to be exact. Hit to right field, pretty well struck. Markakis back, it's over his head and off the wall. And Lonnie Chisenhall into second base with his second double of the night. Both doubles have been to right field. So he's starting to pull the ball with some authority.
Well, back come the Indians. Get that leadoff man aboard. He left this one up out over the plate. You remember Chisenhall in his last double went downstairs and picked one up off the ground. This time he gets a high fastball and hits it over Markakis' head. Hits the screening. He will cruise into second. So a leadoff man aboard. They did it back in the fourth when they got their 4 runs. So Back come the Indians.
Murphy robbed of a hit his last time up on a terrific play made by J.J. Hardy, the shortstop. Hardy went way over on the second base side of the bag, up the middle to take the seeing eye single away from Murphy. Looked like he had it perfectly placed, but Hardy, who's shading him up the middle to begin with, was able to get to it and make a very good throw. Up and away, 1-1. Outside with it, 2 balls and a strike. Bud Norris closing in on 100 pitches for the night. Left-hander up in the Baltimore bullpen. T.J. McFarland is getting loose now for Baltimore. He just got called up. Murphy clobbers one. Deep right center field. Markakis back onto the track and makes the catch. Tagging and going to third is Chisenhall. And he'll stay right there at third base. So it's a productive out for Murphy, who nearly hit one out of here.
Yeah, he hit that ball. He smoked it. He got it to the warning track. Good at bat. Another high two-seamer out over the plate. Gives it a good ride. You can see Markakis going back, catching it on the track. Chisenhall will go to third. They will bring the infield in as it's a tying run at third base.
Same situation last time up with Santana.
Right.
He drew the walk after Norris fell behind him 3-0. Tying run at third for the Indians here in the 6th inning. Santana steps away. Maybe distracted by the wave. Haven't seen the wave in a while.
Well, these people are trying to.
It's back with a vengeance here in Baltimore. The 0-1. Swing and a miss. Santana down in the count 0-2. Chisenhall, the tying run at third. Santana pops it back over the screen to stay alive. Bud Norris has allowed 4 runs so far here tonight. The only other time he gave up 5 runs this year was in his first start of the season against the Tigers in Detroit.
Well, that 5th one sitting 90 feet away. Not gonna do it. Get out of play.
Near the Indians dugout and over the top into the crowd. So Santana stays alive, and he wants to talk to his catcher, does Bud Norris. It's a tricky situation, I guess, Rick. You've got one to waste, but if you try to get him to chase one by bouncing it and it gets away, that runner on third's going to score.
Yeah, you can't be afraid. You got to trust your catcher if you're going to call a breaking ball. Santana's been swinging through a lot of pitches.
So stay up, elevate.
Yeah, you can. I mean, he likes the fastball, but he's throwing a couple by him tonight. He's got a big swing working right now. But we've seen Santana before work his way back into counts. Just a left-handed, he has really struggled this year.
No doubt about that. Upstairs, he lays off. He
133.
Yeah, 14 for 106 now on the year.
Norris, if you let him back into the guy, you just got to trust your stuff. You could throw that fastball or go with that slider down the end. He's trying to get the punch out here, which you can understand, but he doesn't want to let that guy get in from third base. Now Santana's back into the count at 2-2.
Down and in, a full count. So from 0-2 to 3-2 with Jason Giambi waiting on deck. One out here in the inning. Indians trying to come right back and tie or reclaim the lead. Santana fouled that twice.
Again, he's done that a couple of times this year.
Oh, did it twice. Again, the 3-2 pitch with the tying run at third. And he strikes him out. Sixth strikeout of the night for Bud Norris. In-game recap brought to you by your Toyota dealers. Chris Davis with a 2-run double had Baltimore flying high early. They led it 3-0. Indians came back with a 4-run fourth. Jason Giambi, a 3-run homer, put the Indians ahead by a run. But in the fifth, Davis brings Baltimore right back with a 2-run shot. 5-4 Birds, and that's where we stand. And now the Orioles will intentionally walk Jason Giambi. Not many guys come to the plate 2 for 16 and get an intentional walk. But not many guys come to the plate with 439 career home runs either.
Well, they want to take their chances with Gomes because he's been able to get him to fly out to right and strike him out. But if you're Yan Gomes, that's what gives you the incentive. Get in there and say, okay, that's fine. You go ahead and walk him. Well, get ready and do some damage of your own.
Gomes 0 for 2 on the night. Downstairs for ball 1 on the off-speed pitch. Left-hander T.J. McFarland continues to warm in the Baltimore pen. Goes with a liner to right field. Marquez makes the catch. Norris gets out of a jam here in the 6th. Indians leave the tying run at third base. 5-4 Baltimore.
I'll get your Nick Swisher Brohio bobblehead. That'll be May 31st when the Colorado Rockies will come to Cleveland. We'll get home next Friday night. 12,500 fans will get the Swisher bobblehead. Visit Indians.com for your tickets.
For Baltimore here in the bottom of the sixth, Ryan Flaherty, Caleb Joseph, and Nick Markakis due up. TJ House stays in. And his first pitch is bunted. Chisholm off, now it's throwing, and throws it away. Backed up nicely by Aviles. His throw to second base, and they got him. Good hustle by Mike Aviles.
Great hustle by Mike Aviles. Great hustle. He gets over to back up the play and the throw. Chisholm trying to make a great play. The throw is wide, almost hits Kirby, the first base coach. But there he is backing up to make the throw, give him a base hit, and then he is out by a mile at second base. Good hustle. Backup play by Aviles.
Now up comes Caleb Joseph. Joseph hit the ball to deep center his last time up. At the knees, outside corner. Looked like the same pitch, maybe a bit outside that time. 1-1. Three balls and a strike. Nick Markakis waiting on deck. Get to third. Chisholm from the cut of the grounds. Throws him out. 2 gone. Nick Markakis has been wearing out the left side tonight.
Well, first one gets over there. The second 2 are little breaking balls away. He's been waiting for him all night long. Again, he baited him in to get another pitch out there. We'll see if they make an adjustment this time when they face him.
Popped him up back and out of play. Inside on him.
What do you know?
Bounced to the second base in a 1-2-3 inning when you consider Flaherty was retired, even though he got the base hit. He tried to stretch it to second base. So we'll go to the 7th, 5-4 Baltimore. Tune in Monday after the game for Positive Coaching Alliance's Breakfast with the Coaches, sponsored by Britton Gallagher. Hear from Browns head coach Mike Pettin and Terry Francona as they discuss tools and techniques you can use to help kids get the most out of sports. Positive Coaching Alliance. Better athletes, better people. Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen. For Baltimore, they're going to go to former Indians farmhand T.J. McFarland. Baltimore made him a Rule 5 draft pick out of the Indians minor league system. Had to keep him on their club all last year in the big leagues. They did so. McFarland had a pretty good season overall. He went 4-1 with a 4.22 ERA, but he only pitched in 38 games. So they picked their spots. Sometimes it's it can be a risky proposition when you're trying to win, and you got a young guy that you got to protect in your bullpen that you don't want to overexpose, but it might work out really well for Baltimore. The Indians obviously thought a lot about McFarland. They liked him. 4th round pick back in 2007. Last year he was in the Indians farm system. He had 16 wins. That led all Indians minor league pitchers. Justin Sellers tries to bunt. He is 1 for 2 on the night with a single.
So Norris goes 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, walked 3, struck out 6.
Popped him up. This ball's carrying pretty low at deep right field, and Markakis backpedaling almost to the warning track where he made that catch.
A lot of breeze up there going out to right. Well, it's another Sugardale Dollar Dog Night on Friday, May 30th. The Colorado Rockies will be in town, and fans can also enjoy a fireworks show set to the music of the 2014 Grammy nominees. You can visit Indians.com for your tickets.
Michael Bourne looks at the ball down low. Bourne with a walk, a single, and a ground out. He tried to bunt his way aboard in the 5th. And when he put the bunt down, the ball hit in front of home plate and was stuck there. Kind of moved. Slaps it foul the other way. Low with it, and it's 2-2. So far this year, the Indians have 3 wins when they trail after 6 innings. And all 3 of those wins have come on the road. Payoff pitch to Bourne. He fouls it right back. Michael Vilas, right-handed bat waiting on deck. And he draws a walk with 1 out here in the 7th. So the tying run aboard for Cleveland. Mike Aviles has struck out twice and bounced into a fielder's choice. Mike started the night with a .300 batting average in the month of May. He's done a great job filling in for Jason Kipnis. Taking a called strike. Jason Kipnis, by the way, was slated to start his rehab assignment tonight at AAA Columbus. They were home to the Durham Bulls tonight down in Columbus. Chopped to third. Flaherty to second for one on the first. A double play. Baltimore goes around the horn to end the inning. We've reached the 7th inning stretch with the Orioles in front 5-4. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Spitz. Tomorrow, a full day of MLB action, beginning with the Rangers taking on the Tigers on Fox Sports 1. Then it's the season premiere of Baseball Night in America on Fox, when the Reds and Cardinals renew their rivalry. Our MLB doubleheader begins Saturday at 3:30 on Fox Sports 1 and continues at 7 on Fox. TJ House went 6 innings tonight, allowing 5 runs on 10 hits. He'll give way to Mark Lowe. Second appearance in as many nights now for his new club. He's got the 2, 3, and 4 hitters due up for the Birds here in the home half of the 7th. Orioles bullpen is busy. Left-hander after left-hander after left-hander. Pitch down low for ball 1. Donovan Scope hit into a double play back in the first. He has flied out, grounded out since then. 0 for 3 on the night. Slider that he swung through, and it's 1-1. Detroit beating up on Texas 7-2. Tigers, they're in the 8th inning in the Motor City. Yankees still lead the White Sox 3-1 in Chicago. Kansas City, meanwhile, they're out in Anaheim to take on the Angels later. Scope fouls it off. Off the end of the bat, bloop towards center field, but there is Michael Bourne to make the catch. One away. Going to bring up Adam Jones, who has 2 hits and has scored 2 runs.
Yeah, this is the part of the lineup that has done most of the damage. Jones and Davis. Davis with 4 RBIs on the night.
Low fires, and it's in for a strike. Jones now with 5 hits already in the series. Jones having a little trouble with something in the eye. Chops it fair down the third base line. And he's going to hold at second base with a 1-out double. So he continues to be a real pain for the Indians. They haven't figured out a way to get him out. 3rd hit of the night. And his 6th in the series.
Keeps this ball fair. That was a little sinker down in the end. He pounds into the ground. Chisenhall off the line, and you can see it gets by him down into left field. That's his 10th double of the year. He's a great shot.
Just missed it. And even if he comes up with it, there's no chance to throw out Jones, though, with the speed he's got going down the line. Mickey Callaway out to the mound yet again. A lot of visits in this ball game here tonight. Chris Davis had a 2-run double back in the 3rd to make it 3-0 Baltimore, and a 2-run homer in the 5th to give the Birds a 5-4 lead. Well, he's driven in 4 of their 5 tonight. The only other run for Baltimore came on a solo homer by Nelson Cruz. Indians are going to intentionally walk him for the chance to pitch to Nelson Cruz. Davis possibly playing in his final game of this weekend series, depending on how things go with his expectant wife. Expecting their first child, and if she goes into labor, then he'll probably miss the next 2 games of the series. If she does not, they're expected to induce labor on Sunday.
Well, I bet everybody on the Indian side are hoping she goes into labor today, so we won't have to see him the next 2 days. That's what makes sense to me.
Here's Nelson Cruz with 2 on and 1 out. Low. He goes to second, throws it away. Jones scores in the second, goes Cruz. 6-4 Baltimore.
Again, a play that you rush as a pitcher.
This guy hasn't even been here all year.
No, it's a double play ball, but you got to get 1. You know, even though I'm not saying you have to turn 2, but it's a play. Get your first one. But throw, he spikes it down, and it's past Sellers. No chance for him. Throws it out into the outfield. It's their 50th error of the year. allows a run to score, then go to second and third, and that you know, could take him right out of it.
Lowe was on the mound last night when the Indians committed 2 errors behind him. Hardy couldn't help himself. He went around. Now Carlos Carrasco beginning to loosen in the Indians' pen.
Chance to go for the strikeout.
Slowly chopped to third. Chisenhall's only play going to be at first. 2 down, but Baltimore gets another run. Hardy will be credited with an RBI as the Orioles increase their lead to 7-4. Down the left field line, that's trouble. Another run comes home to score. Delman Young into second base with a 2-out RBI double, and it's a 3-run seventh for the Birds as they blow it open now and take an 8-4 lead.
Again, a lot of gift runs here in this series so far. They were able to overcome it last night, but being down a run in this inning and after the error on the double play ball that could have been made certainly opens it up for Baltimore. Delman Young looks like he got a slider on that one. A little bit off the end of the bat, but got it down the left field line. And going to end up intentionally walking Flaherty here. Second intentional walk in the inning.
The batter will be the catcher, Caleb Joseph. He's 0 for 3 on the night. But with 2 on and 2 out, he'll be looking to inflict some more damage. Joseph grounded into a fielder's choice that ended the second. He flied to deep center in the 4th and grounded to third base in the 6th. Fastball paints the outside part of the plate with it. And it's 1-1. Pop. Playable here. Santana in foul ground. He makes the catch, and the inning is over. But Baltimore capitalizes on yet another defensive mistake by the Tribe, and they now lead it 8-4. By authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Stay tuned for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. It's coming up after the game here on Sports Time Ohio. Meantime, we're going to the 8th inning with the Indians down 4. 8-4 is our score. And Baltimore goes back to the bullpen. Left-hander Brian Mattis pitching for the second night in a row.
I had a feeling we would see him in at least probably 3 of these 4 games.
He's got the 3, 4, 5 hitters due up for Cleveland. Meanwhile, Mark Lowe has now pitched 2 innings for the Tribe. He's given up 4 runs. None of them have been earned.
Well, it wasn't his fault last night, but it was tonight.
Tonight, his own costly error opened the floodgates for Baltimore. And the Birds pounced. Brantley 1 for 3 on the night. He singled and scored back in the 4th. Michael has now hit in 9 straight games. Brantley gets a breaking ball and lifts it to center field. In-game box score brought to you by your Hyundai dealers. Lonnie Chisenhall's had a good night swinging the bat. Michael Brantley extending his hitting streak, and Jason Giambi with a big 3-run homer back in the 4th that gave the Indians a 4-3 lead at that time. Breaking ball strike to Lonnie Chisenhall. Lifts one to left. Cruz is there. 2 down. Indians and the Orioles right back here tomorrow at 12:30. As Ubaldo Jimenez will make the start against the Indians, and Corey Kluber will be going for the Tribe. Should be a great matchup. We'll have our coverage beginning at noon with Indians Live. And all the play-by-play at 12:30 right here on Sports Time Ohio. David Murphy, another fly ball to left field, and the Indians go 1-2-3. Middle of the 8th, 8-4 Baltimore. Eight-4 Baltimore. What a crowd tonight. 39,602 have jammed their way into Oriole Park tonight to watch Game 2 of this 4-game series, and you get a look from our Panini's overstuffed can. Carlos Carrasco coming on to pitch the bottom of the 8th now for the Indians. Carrasco is pitching in his 11th game. Got the top of the order due up for the Birds.
Well, I'll tell you what, TJ Howes did the bullpen and did the pitching staff a favor tonight, going 6 innings. Pretty much weathered the storm, and hopefully they can get back on track with everybody. The Marms out in that bullpen. We gave you the numbers of what they have been through in the last 2 games. 18 and a third innings.
Since Carlos Carrasco moved to the bullpen, he's pitched in 6 games, going 11 and a third innings, allowing 4 runs. Good for a 3.18 ERA. There's a line smash to center field by Markakis. And Baltimore has their leadoff man aboard here in the 8th.
And Markakis has 4 hits tonight. There you go. You see what happens when you leave it middle.
Jonathan Scope, 0 for 4 on the night, is the batter now.
It's the 5th time out of 8 innings they've had the leadoff man aboard tonight.
Nothing and 2 the count on Scope now. Sellers to Aviles, on to Santana. It's a double play. Looking back at our keys to the game from Akron Children's Hospital. An opportunity for TJ House. As Rick said, he helped save the bullpen tonight by getting through 6 innings. Indians offensively didn't do a whole lot tonight against Bud Norris, save the 1 inning. And they had a chance in the 6th to come back and tie the game at that point, but misfired. And then defensively, they always talk about double plays you do not turn. Tonight, the one they didn't turn was very costly. We'll go to the 9th. 8-4 Baltimore. (8-4) Baltimore as we go to the 9th inning. And as promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Jason Giambi in the 4th inning. Sent one out of here. The 439th home run of his career. First of the season. And it gave the Indians a 1-run lead at that point. But the Indians haven't scored since, and Baltimore has scored 5 unanswered. Carlos Santana will lead it off. Then Ryan Rayburn has moved to the on-deck circle to bat for Giambi. And Yan Gomes due up 3rd. Brian Mattis worked the scoreless 8th, and he'll pitch here in the 9th. Santana blisters one. That's a fair ball. Down the corner it goes. He's on his way to second base with a leadoff double. First hit of the night for Santana, 3rd here in the series.
Mattis left him a ball that he was able to turn on. Got it right down the line. Third double for the Tribe tonight, and that's their 7th hit.
Darren O'Day is up now in the Oriole bullpen.
And out comes Buck Showalter. He made the announcement. He will make the change.
Buck talking things over here, and eventually he's going to make the move, you would assume. He's waiting for O'Day to get a couple more warm-up tosses before he's forced to make his decision here. Marty Foster comes out and says, "Okay, Buck, what do you want to do?" And he says, we're gonna get that guy out there. Timeout here in Birdland. Orioles lead at 8-4. By Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care is coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. We're in the 9th inning, and the Indians are down 4 runs. They have their leadoff man aboard. And Baltimore goes to Darren O'Day. Tommy Hunter, their closer, is on the DL. He has a groin problem. So Buck will piece it together with guys like O'Day and Zach Britton.
The guys, and this guy's been doing a great job. He had 10 consecutive outings, or 10 in the 3rd innings, where he had not allowed a run until Lonnie Chisenhall hit the home run off him yesterday to stop that string, and his ERA went up to 1. So he's been doing a terrific job out in the pen.
Well, just in case Zach Britton's getting loose. So should we see Lonnie Chisenhall or Michael Brantley later in this inning, we'll very likely see Britton. But you've got 3 right-handed hitters in a row, Rayburn, Gomes, Sellers. So that's why he goes to O'Day here. Fouled back by Ryan Rayburn. And the count 0-1. Ryan 0 for 6 as a pinch hitter on the year. But he's been swinging the bat much better here of late. He has hit in 6 of his last 8 games. This one's in the air to right center field, and it's run down by Markakis. Santana will tag and slide over the third, one away.
Catcher, number 10, Yan Gomes.
Yan Gomes is 0 for 3 tonight. He came oh so very close to getting a big hit in the 6th inning. He drove one to deep right field. Markakis made a fine running over the shoulder catch. Catches it maybe just a centimeter more on the barrel of the bat. It's probably off the wall, and maybe a game-changing hit at that point. But all in all, you look at this one, Rick. I mean, the Indians have been out hit 14-7. Their only real inning where they did anything was in the 4th.
Right.
So they were fortunate to hang around and be in this one as long as they were.
They had to keep it down to a minimum. You know, the error again cost them. You know, it opened up the game. It should still be a 5-4 game at this point. But you know, the gift runs, they come and they take you out of it. You can overcome it once in a while, but boy, to have to score 6, 7, 8 runs a game because you're giving up so many runs, you just can't do that.
It's happened. And they throw him out at first. 2 down. Well, the other thing too, Rick, is last night they were able to overcome the defensive mistakes they made because Baltimore uncharacteristically made some mistakes.
Yes,
that helped level things out a little bit. But normally when you play Baltimore, they've been the best defensive team this year.
Well, look at it. Yeah, they've made 21 errors on the year. The Indians made their 50th tonight. And when you look at unearned runs, that has a lot to do with it.
Drive down to their final out. Justin Sellers is 1 for 3 on the night. Strike on the inside corner. Upstairs with it. 1 ball, 1 strike. One ball and 2 strikes. See if Sellers can keep it alive for the Tribe here in the 9th inning. The 1-2 from O'Day. Top of the strike zone, and Sellers got just enough on it to stay alive. And Sellers reaches. Michael Bourne is next. Outside a full count. Good at bat here for Sellers.
Yeah, Sellers went after that one, and he's been able to lay off. He's not biting. Today trying to get him to chase a slider again. He hasn't been able to do it.
Two down in the ninth. The runner at third. And a 3-2 pitch to Sellers. The Indians' 4-game win streak is over, as Baltimore gives Buck Showalter a victory on his 58th birthday tonight here at Oriole Park. 8-4 is your final score. With the win, Baltimore goes to 24-22. The Indians drop to 23-26.